The Hawk & Sons building was very tall, 12 floors. It stood right in the middle of the busy city. The windows were shiny glass, and they reflected the bright morning sun. I had walked past this building many times while I was growing up. My dad had built a printing company here, starting with only 3 workers. Now, it has 300 workers. The name Hawk & Sons told everyone who was important in the family. I drove into the underground parking lot at 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes before the big family meeting. My parking spot was right by the elevator, space A1. I had parked here for 3 months during my consulting visits. Dad called it consulting. I called it, checking carefully to make sure everything was right. I was picking up my laptop bag when I heard the roar of Dad's big SUV coming down the ramp. My brother Lucien was sitting next to him, looking proud. They stopped right behind my car and blocked me in. Dad got out of the SUV. His face looked angry. Lucien got out too, and he was smirking, as if he knew he had the upper hand. "Amaris, move your car," Dad said in a loud, serious voice. "Good morning to you too, Dad," I said, trying to stay calm. "I'm serious." "Move it now," he barked. Lucien, the new vice president of operations, jingled his keys and said, "Come on, sis. Some of us actually work here." He was grinning as if I didn't matter. I looked at the parking spot next to mine. A 2. It was empty. It was also an executive parking spot. "A1 is for leaders," Lucien said. "You know, people who really contribute to the company." I picked up my bag and got out of the car. "The elevator's this way, Amaris," Dad's voice echoed off the concrete walls. I looked at him calmly and said, "Move your car?" "I'm choosing not to. If Lucien wants A2, it's right there." Lucien's smirk grew bigger. "Still can't follow simple instructions. That's why you never made it here," he said, laughing a little. I walked toward the elevator without replying. Behind me, I heard Lucien say, "Forget it, Dad. Let her play consultant today. After the meeting, she'll be gone anyway." The elevator doors opened, and I stepped inside. I pressed the button for floor 12. The top floor had all the big offices, the boardroom, and Dad's huge office that had a clear view of the harbor. I had only been up here 4 times in my life, twice as a little kid for Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, once for my college graduation dinner, and once 3 months ago when I started looking at the company's money and contracts. Avelini, Dad's assistant for 20 years, looked up from her desk. "Amaris, you're early," she said kindly. "I wanted to check some documents before the meeting," I said. She leaned closer and whispered, "Heads up. Your dad is in a bad mood. The board is not happy with his plans to expand the company." "And Lucien?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. "He thinks you're going to pitch some consulting idea today. He thinks it's funny." "Does he, Amaris?" She smiled. "I've known you since you were 8. Be careful. Your dad doesn't like surprises." I smiled back. "I'll keep that in mind." The boardroom was ready. Big, soft leather chairs were arranged around a long, shiny wooden table. The presentations were already on the screen. Coffee and water were ready on the side table. I picked a chair in the middle, not at the head where Dad would sit, and not at the foot where Lucien had placed his nameplate. Other board members walked in, Uncle Percival, who owned 8% of the company, Celera Vaughn, the CFO who had worked with Dad for 15 years, Alastair Kaur, an outside investor who had 12%, and Valindra Frost, the operations director. Then Lucien walked in, acting like he owned the place. "Amaris," he said loudly. "Didn't expect you to sit at the big table. There's a chair by the wall for observers. I'm comfortable here." "Thanks," I said. "Suit yourself," Lucien said and took his seat at the foot of the table. He opened his laptop like he was showing off to everyone. "Just so you know, we're talking about real business today. It might be over your head." Uncle Percival frowned. "Lucien, that's unnecessary." "Just being honest," Lucien said. "Amaris has been consulting for 3 months and hasn't done anything useful." Celera looked at me and shook her head slightly, giving me a warning. I stayed quiet. At exactly 8 a.m., Dad walked in. His suit was perfect, and his expression was serious. He sat at the head of the table without acknowledging me. "Let's begin," he said. "First item, the Hartford expansion. Lucien, you're up." Lucien stood and started his presentation. "We have found a printing facility in Hartford that will give us coverage in the Northeast. The acquisition price is $8.4 million, with another $2.3 million projected for improvements and integration." Alastair Kaur leaned forward. "How are we funding this?" Lucien glanced at Dad. "We can use a mix of our credit line and sell some assets we don't need." Celera said sharply, "Like what?" Dad cleared his throat. The warehouse properties on Commercial Street. We are not using them fully. Lucien smiled. I found a buyer willing to pay $4.2 million. Celera froze. Those warehouses generate $380,000 a year in rental income. Selling them to buy a facility that doesn't make money. I asked, will we? Everyone turned to look at me. Lucien smiled condescendingly. Did you have a question? The Hartford facility, I asked. What is its current profit margin? That's proprietary information. It's 3.2%, Lucien replied. Celera quietly said, compared to our current 11.4% profit, which will improve with Hawk operational efficiency. How? I asked. Their equipment is old. Client contracts are month to month. Their workers are unionized and cost 22% more than ours. What's your plan to fix this? Lucien's jaw tightened. I don't have to explain strategic decisions to a consultant. No, but you should explain them to the board, Uncle Percival said. Amaris has a point. What's the integration plan? We're working on the details, Lucien said. You don't have details, I said calmly. You have a purchase price and a dream. Dad slammed his fist on the table. Amaris, if you're not here to contribute constructively, I am contributing. I spoke up. I'm asking the questions the board should have asked 3 weeks ago. Lucien's plan is a disaster. Lucien's voice rose. This expansion will double our market reach. You're wrong. It will drain our cash reserves by an underperforming facility and force us to sell income-generating assets to fund it, I said. I opened my laptop. Celera, can you pull up the Q3 cash flow projections? Celera hesitated, looking at Dad. Do it, I said firmly. The board has the right to see that Hawk & Sons is currently carrying $3.7 million in short-term debt, missed 2 vendor payments last quarter, and is projecting a cash shortfall of $1.2 million by year-end, even without the Hartford acquisition. Silence filled the room. Alistair Corr's face went pale. Dad's jaw worked. We have temporary cash flow challenges, Dad said. No, I corrected. You have a solvency problem. Lucien's expansion will make it worse. Lucien slammed his laptop shut. Who do you think you are? Someone who spent 3 months reviewing every financial document, every contract, every vendor agreement this company has? Someone who found irregularities in procurement, inflated expense reports, and vendor kickbacks totaling $890,000 over 2 years. Celera gasped. Lucien shouted. That's slander. It's documented, I said, pulling out a thick folder with receipts, wire transfers, and emails. Celera, you'll recognize some of these. Procurement flagged them, but the reports never made it to the board. Dad had gone very still. Where did you get those documents? From company files. I had access through my consulting agreement, I said. You signed it 3 months ago without reading because you thought I was just playing at business again. You had no right. I had every right. The agreement included full document access for strategic review. Uncle Percival picked up the folder and flipped through the pages. His face darkened. Good God, Lucien. These expenses, a $47,000 vendor payment to a company that doesn't exist. That's fraud, Alistair said flatly. Valindra shook her head, looking sick. Lucien pointed at me. This is a setup. She's trying to sabotage the Hartford deal. I finished calmly. I don't need to sabotage it. The numbers do that themselves. But yes, I'm trying to stop it because it would bankrupt this company in 18 months. Dad finally spoke, his voice low and dangerous. You come into my boardroom, accuse my son of fraud, and think you can do what? Take over? No, I said quietly. I already took over. The room went dead silent. I pulled out another document. 3 months ago, Hawk & Sons needed capital. Fast. The bank said no when we asked for more money. We really needed it. Alistair, you remember, offered to buy more of the company, but Dad said no. Alistair nodded slowly, looking worried. He knew we were in trouble. So, Dad started looking for another way to get money. He found a company called Apex Holdings. They said they would give $5 million to help us for a short time, but we had to pay 8% interest. Celera's eyes got really big when she heard this. She looked surprised, almost like she couldn't believe it. The money for the second quarter came from Apex Holdings, and in return, they got 51% of our company, Hawk & Sons. That meant they owned more than half the company now. I slid the papers across the table to Dad. I know because I own Apex Holdings, I said. I have been the main owner of this company for 93 days. That's just over 3 months, Dad. Lucien jumped up from his chair. That's impossible. It's a public record. Anyone can check. Well, I said calmly, it will be public after 9 a.m. The filing goes live then. I looked at my watch. That is 12 minutes from now. Just 12 minutes and everyone will see it. Dad grabbed the papers, shaking a little. His hands trembled. You bought my company? You sold it to a company that gave us the money we needed? You never asked who owned that company because it's just a business you made for this purchase. Apex Holdings is fully owned by Hawk Capital Group, I said. And I own Hawk Capital Group. So, I own Apex Holdings too. Everything is connected. Alistair started laughing. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was the shocked kind of laugh, the kind you make when something unbelievable happens. She bought the company from under you, he said. Using what money? Lucien asked, almost shouting. I have much more than $5 million, I said. Hawk Capital Group has $47 million in buildings, businesses, and other investments. I've been building it for 8 years while everyone thought I was failing at business. They thought I couldn't do it, but I could. I knew what I was doing. Uncle Percival leaned back in his chair, looking at Dad. The businesses that didn't work before were lessons, I said. They taught me how to find businesses that are not doing well and make them good again. Hawk & Sons was a company with problems because of bad management. But it had a strong foundation, good clients, a good reputation, and good workers. It just needed better leadership. Lucien's face turned red. He looked furious. You sneaky, tricky businesswoman, he shouted. Yes, I am, I said calmly. Dad looked at the papers like they might bite him. Why, he asked. Because Hawk & Sons is a good company being hurt by bad decisions, I said. Because I watched you build something amazing, and I couldn't watch Lucien destroy it. And because you never thought your daughter could save it. That's why I needed the consulting agreement, Celera, I said softly. You needed access to check the money and see the problems so I could fix them. Celera spoke quietly. You're very good at your job. The money problems weren't your fault. Lucien was keeping things from you. He was making problems on purpose. I looked at Valindra. Same with operations. You've been fixing problems without knowing Lucien was making them. You didn't know he was causing trouble behind the scenes. Valindra's voice shook. The vendor problems last month. Lucien's secret payments. It stops today. We won't let him do it anymore. Lucien grabbed his laptop. I'm calling our lawyer. Go ahead, I said calmly. But you should know your contract says you can be fired for cheating or running the company badly. You'll get a notice today. You can't fire me. Lucien shouted. Yes, I can, I said. I am the CEO as of 8:30 this morning. The board will vote to confirm it at 9:15 if they want to keep their positions. Alistair looked at my papers carefully. These finances you already found, $2.4 million in cost savings. If we do a full check, we'll probably find more. The Hartford building is not being used, and we can focus on making current work better and growing slowly. The warehouse buildings make steady money, so that income is safe and reliable. Uncle Percival looked at Dad. Dad seemed older by 10 years in just 10 minutes. His face looked tired and shocked. Amaris, what about your father? Uncle Percival asked. I looked at Dad. You built this company for 35 years. You're amazing with clients and big-picture ideas. But you're not good with money and workers. I want you to stay as president of client relations, full salary, benefits, and the corner office. Your job is to get big clients and keep relationships. Everything else I handle. Dad said flatly. You run everything else? Yes. As co-owner. Actually, I'm changing the name. Hawk & Partners. It better shows the truth about the company. Lucien made a strangled noise. He looked like he couldn't breathe. Dad looked at me for a long time. Then he laughed. You really did it. You bought my company. When did you become so tough? I learned from warning you, I said. You taught me business isn't about feelings, it's about results. It's about making the right choices to keep the company alive. You never taught me anything, Dad said. You wanted to study art history, remember? I asked. I did, he said, smiling a little. Then I got an MBA at night while working 3 jobs. You just never asked, I said. Celera spoke quietly. For what it's worth, Amaris's plan is smart. Just saving money would help a lot. Her investments are strong. I checked Hawk Capital Group last week. She has a great record of making companies work well again. You knew? Dad asked. I suspected, I said. Amaris's questions were too smart to be a casual consult. She kept asking for papers only an owner would need. I nodded at Celera. You'll be in charge of money again. No more bypassing your department. Everything will go through you. Thank God, she said, relieved. Alistair set down the papers. I will vote to confirm Amaris as CEO. This company needs her leadership. Valindra nodded. I agree. Uncle Percival looked unsure. Amaris, what happened to the board? Alistair and Uncle Percival, your positions are safe if you want to stay. Celera stays as CFO. Valindra stays as operations director. I'll add 2 board members with experience in making companies efficient and growing. And me? Dad asked. You're on the board, I said. You can watch everything, but you don't vote. You can give advice, but I will make the final decisions. You thought of everything, he said. I had 3 months to plan. Celera laughed. She even made him pay her to audit the companies she already owned. $15,000 a month. Seems fair, I said. Even Dad smiled a little. We spent the next 2 hours going through the plan. At 11:30, I called a break. Dad caught my arm. Amaris, the parking spot this morning. Yes, I should have asked why you were parked there, I said. You should have, he said. I assumed Lucien deserved it more, I said. You assumed my whole life, he said. I know. I was wrong. Not everything. You built an amazing company. You just got lost thinking Lucien was your legacy. Hawk and Sons mattered to me. Hawk and Partners matter more because it's true. He nodded slowly. Your mother will be mad when she finds out I sold the company without telling her, Dad said. Probably, I said. And that our daughter outsmarted me. She'll be proud of you. Will you be? Dad asked. I am scared but proud, I said. At noon, I went to the parking garage. Lucien's car was gone. My Lexus was alone in A1. A new brass sign said, Reserved for Sue. I called the security chief. Garrick, did you put the sign in A1? Yes, ma'am. Your father asked me to do it an hour ago. Thank you, Ms. Hawk. For what it's worth, we're glad you're here. The company needs you. I sat in my car for a moment. Who? Chief Executive Officer of Hawk and Partners. My phone buzzed. A text from Lucien. You haven't heard the last of this. I deleted it. Another from Celera. Welcome to the top floor. Your office is being set up now. And one from Dad. Family dinner Sunday. Mom wants details. Prepare yourself. I started the car and pulled out of A1, the CEO's spot, my spot. I drove up the ramp. Outside, the old sign, Hawk & Sons C. 1987, was being taken down. By Monday, it would say Hawk & Partners, my company, my rules, my legacy. I smiled and drove to my next meeting. The morning sun shone on the hood of my Lexus. Turns out, I really did belong in that parking spot after all.